Tens of millions of voters in India will cast their ballots in coming weeks as 5 states hold elections. Many are seeing the polls as a referendum of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's.
Voters have been casting their ballots in India's most populous state, Uttar Pradesh, to elect a new legislature.
नमस्कार दोस्तों, हिंदुस्तान 9 न्यूज में आपका स्वागत है। दोस्तों, जो सिंगापुर की CNN इंग्लिश न्यूज चैनल है, वो हमारे देश के 5 राज्यों में होने वाले चुनाव के बारे में चर्चा कर रहे हैं। वो बातें कर रहे हैं कि जो भारत के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी है, क्या उनकी पॉपुलैरिटी के आधार पर वोट पड़ेंगे या कुछ मुद्दों के आधार पर वोट पड़ेंगे। तो दोस्तों, वीडियो को इनकी जुबानी सुनते हैं एंड वीडियो को पूरा देखने के बाद लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब जरूर कर देना दोस्तों।
Tens of millions of voters in India will cast their ballots in coming weeks as 5 states hold elections. Many are seeing the polls as a referendum of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's popularity. Ershan Garg reports.
Election season is again underway in India, where 5 states are gearing up for state assembly elections. It's a test of popularity for the national parties. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is governing Bharatiya Janata Party and its main opponent, the Indian National Congress. The results here could determine their chances in the national election in 2 years' time. These polls also decide the composition of the upper house of India's parliament, with the majority there often decisive in passing legislation. The 5 states holding elections are Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Manipur and Goa. 300 million people will elect 690 local representatives. Almost 2/3 of them are in Uttar Pradesh, a key battleground state. With a population that rivals the world's top 5 most populous countries, this state could set the winning party up for a triumph at the general elections in 2024. Currently, Uttar Pradesh is governed by the BJP. And since 2017, the monk-turned-politician Yogi Adityanath has been serving as chief minister, a role that puts him in charge of the state government. The 49-year-old has quickly emerged as a polarizing figure. He's known for delivering fiery speeches
Bharat Mata Ki
that make him popular among the BJP's Hindu nationalist voter base. Recently, he said these elections pit 80% of voters against the remaining 20%, a ratio which observers noted corresponds to the proportion of the majority Hindus and minorities in the state. Critics say he's fanning the flames of sectarianism. His opponents allege minorities in the state have been oppressed under his rule, calling him a threat to the country's secular fabric. Denying these allegations, his party focus instead on what they tout as their tough-on-crime stance and a development-focused agenda, which they believe will win Mr. Adityanath a second term.
So the infrastructure is in place, law and order is in control. Now we want to bring a lot of investment into the Uttar Pradesh. What our roadmap is that India is poised for a strong economic growth. Uttar Pradesh can catalyze and be the channel of growth for India.
Much as it may tout its achievement, experts believe the BJP could face backlash from farming communities, which make up the largest voting bloc in the country. That anger is especially stark in Punjab, the only one of the 5 states holding elections where the state assembly is controlled by the opposition. Authorities repealed 3 controversial farming laws after a year-long protest by farmers who feared they would threaten their incomes and expose them to unfair competition. But dissatisfaction remains, and it is still unclear if the rising cost of farming and the resulting agrarian distress could hurt Prime Minister Narendra Modi's party in these elections.
Our economic issues are very important. Is the electorate saying this in one voice? We don't know yet. Or are the claims of mega development and religion together, making the case for the BJP? We don't know yet. There is also the talk of religion plus caste. I find, however, people are talking of issues.
BJP's main opposition, the Congress Party, which governs in Punjab, is eyeing political revival by offering itself as the more liberal, progressive alternative. But it's a shadow of its former glory, holding power in 3 out of 29 provinces. Outside of the 2 more well-known parties, analysts say regional parties could cause a massive upheaval. Almost all of them are promising social security by providing free electricity and water to most people. and some are hoping to cash in on the caste-based social structure to win these elections.
Analysts say that if these parties get a considerable vote share, that could signal the rise of a more united opposition front at the national level. Recent surveys indicate that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is still the most popular leader in the country. But his party's chances may be diminished in these elections as these different regional parties chip away at his voter base in different states.
Allegations of poor COVID-19 pandemic management are also likely to hurt Mr. Modi. But the party hopes that ramping up vaccinations could be the shot in the arm needed, both for the party's chances and also for the greater interest of conducting these pandemic-era elections safely. Ishan Garg, CNA, New Delhi.
Voters have been casting their ballots in India's most populous state, Uttar Pradesh, to elect a new legislature. All eyes are on this key battleground, which is considered a bellwether for national politics. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ruling BJP party is hoping to be re-elected. Crowds lined up outside polling stations for the first day of voting. The state will hold staggered polls between now and March the 7th. During the next month, more than 180 million voters will cast their ballots in 5 states across the country. The high-stakes polls are taking place under the shadow of the pandemic, though, with restrictions imposed on rallies and public gatherings. Experts say the outcome of these elections will be critical to Mr. Modi's bid for a third term in power. Results are expected on the 10th of March. Ishan Garg joins us live now from New Delhi for more on this. Ishan, the government has been facing harsh criticism for its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as rising unemployment as well. What are the chances that Prime Minister Modi's party is going to manage to hold on to this prize state of Uttar Pradesh?
That is right, Dawn. There is, in the past 2 years, there has been mounting criticism over the government over rising inflation, the rising cost of food prices, the rising cost of petrol and diesel, which is essential not only for agricultural activities, but a wide range of industrial sectors as well. And that's only one part of the issue, though. While traveling in Uttar Pradesh and speaking to analysts about this, analysts have said that there are 2 ways in which people of Uttar Pradesh vote. One is over the economic issues, in which you've got the issue of inflation, of unemployment, of rising prices of food and petroleum. On the other is the caste-based and the identity-based politics, in which people also vote along the lines of their religious identities and also their caste identities. So analysts say that that's the question right now in UP. If people do vote in favor of the economic issues, they may be voting against the BJP because a number of its opponents are actually left-leaning social welfare agenda parties. And if the voters go towards the direction of identity politics, that may end up benefiting the Bharatiya Janata Party and would set up Mr. Yogi Adityanath, who is the current chief minister of the state, for another term down the line.
Ishan, voters have some time to cast those ballots. Polling is going to continue for another month. How is Mr. Modi's party placed to perform in these 5 states?
Well, all these states are really unique in their nature. Uttar Pradesh, the conversation is all about the economic issues as well as the identity politics. In Uttarakhand, very similar issues are being raised, but also Uttarakhand is where the Bharatiya Janata Party is facing some sense of anti-incumbency. Thirdly, you've got the state of Punjab, which is going to be absolutely crucial. This is only one state where BJP's opposition party at the national level, the Indian National Congress, is in power.